Captain Jake Morrison walked into the huge council chamber with steady steps. His face showed no fear, even though he was surrounded by hundreds of alien creatures from across the galaxy. The massive room buzzed with strange sounds as countless species talked in their own languages. Translation devices worked overtime to change his words into languages he had never heard before. Jake wore his best uniform, but it looked simple compared to the shiny armor and flowing robes of the alien delegates. He did not care about looking fancy. He came here to deliver a message, and he would make sure every creature in this room heard it clearly. Behind him walked Dr. Lisa Carter and Commander Ryan Hayes. Lisa carried a data pad with information about every species in the room. Ryan kept his hand near his weapon, even though security had taken it away hours ago. Old habits died hard for soldiers. The Zephyrian ambassador rose from his seat when Jake reached the center of the chamber. The insect creature stood twice as tall as any human, with wings that looked like broken glass. Its 6 eyes focused on Jake while its mandibles clicked together in what might have been amusement. Jake cleared his throat and began to speak. His voice carried across the vast space without any help from amplifiers. Years of commanding ships had taught him how to project his voice when it mattered. We have tried talking to you for 3 years now. We offered trade deals that would benefit both our peoples. We suggested cultural exchanges so we could learn from each other. We even offered to give up some of our territory if it would bring peace. Jake paused and looked around the chamber. But you keep attacking our colonies. You steal our people and destroy our homes. This ends now. The clicking sound from the Zephyrian grew louder. Other aliens joined in with their own sounds of amusement. The snake-like Velth made hissing noises while their long bodies swayed back and forth. The cloud-born aliens changed colors in patterns that their translators said meant they found something very funny. Little human, the Zephyrian ambassador said through its translator device. Your species controls 20 star systems. We control thousands. Your threats are like a mouse threatening a lion. More laughter filled the chamber. Jake felt his jaw tighten, but his expression never changed. He had expected this reaction. Lisa stepped forward and activated her data pad. A holographic display appeared showing detailed maps of space. You think we are weak because we have not fought back yet, Lisa said quietly. You mistake our patience for fear. The display changed to show shipping routes and military positions. We have been watching you. All of you. We know where your fleets patrol and when they change shifts. We know where you get your supplies and how long it takes to move them. The laughter began to die down but did not stop completely. Some of the aliens leaned forward to get a better look at the human displays. The maps were far more detailed than they had expected from such a young species. Ryan stepped up next to Lisa and pointed at specific locations on the map. We know about the Zephyrian breeding worlds in the Andromeda region. Your people lay their eggs in zero-gravity environments that take 50 years to mature. We know about the Velth spawning grounds near the Outer Rim, where your young ones learn to hunt. We even know about the cloud-born energy collection sites around dying stars. The chamber grew quieter, but the mocking had not stopped entirely. The Zephyrian ambassador spread its crystalline wings wide in a display of dominance. Are you threatening us, mammals? It asked. Do you think your little ships can stand against our fleets? Jake looked directly at the creature without blinking. We are not threatening you. We are informing you. Your attacks on our people have already declared war. We are just making it official now. He gestured to Lisa and Ryan. They began packing their materials with careful movements. Every action was deliberate and calm. Jake wanted these aliens to remember this moment clearly. You have one choice, Jake continued. Leave our space alone. Stop attacking our colonies. Stop taking our people. This is the last time we will ask politely. The laughter started again, but it sounded different now. Some of the aliens seemed less certain than before. The human displays had shown knowledge that surprised them, but most still found the idea of humans as a threat to be amusing. The cloud-born representative flickered through several color patterns before speaking. Young species often make bold claims when they first reach the stars. You will learn that space is vast and dangerous. Perhaps when you mature you will understand your place in the galaxy. Jake nodded slowly. He had heard everything he needed to hear. These creatures would not listen to reason. They would not respect diplomatic solutions. They saw humans as nothing more than primitives who had barely learned to leave their homeworld. Commander Hayes, Jake said without taking his eyes off the alien delegates, please record this moment for our historical archives. Ryan activated a recording device and pointed it at the assembled aliens. Recording active, Captain. Jake raised his voice so every creature in the chamber could hear him clearly. Let the record show that on this date, humanity offered peaceful coexistence to the species of the Galactic Council. Let it also show that these species chose to mock our offer and continue their aggression against human colonies. The team walked toward the exit as alien voices resumed their chatter behind them. Some delegates had already dismissed the humans from their thoughts and returned to other business. Others watched the departing figures with curiosity or contempt. At the massive doorway, Jake stopped and turned back to face the chamber one last time. The noise died down as hundreds of alien eyes focused on him again. "You were warned," he said simply. The words echoed in the vast space as the humans left. Behind them, alien laughter resumed as delegates shared jokes about the arrogant mammals who thought they could threaten civilized species. None of them noticed how carefully Jake and his team had observed every detail of the chamber. They did not think about why the humans had brought such detailed intelligence about alien worlds and military positions. They certainly did not consider what it meant that humanity had sent its best military officers rather than career diplomats. The Zephyrian ambassador clicked its mandibles in amusement as it settled back into its seat. "Primitive mammals," it muttered to its aide. "They will learn their place soon enough." Across the chamber, the Velth delegation hissed their agreement. The Cloudborn flickered with colors that indicated satisfaction with the way the meeting had ended. 6 months later, not one of them would be laughing. 6 months passed since the failed meeting at the Galactic Council. Deep in space near the edge of Zephyrian territory, something moved through the darkness between stars. The ship had no running lights and made no sound as it drifted closer to its target. Admiral Kate Sullivan stood on the bridge of the UES Vengeance watching her displays with cold eyes. Around her, the crew worked in complete silence. Every person knew their job and did it without wasting words. These were not the same humans who had begged for peace 6 months ago. "Target in sight," whispered Lieutenant Ben Parker from his sensor station. His voice was so quiet it barely carried across the bridge. "Zephyrian heavy cruiser, exactly where our intelligence said it would be." Kate nodded without taking her eyes off the main screen. The alien ship hung in space like a glittering jewel. Its crystalline hull caught starlight and threw it back in rainbow patterns. Beautiful and deadly, just like its creators. The Zephyrian cruiser Shard of Glory had been patrolling this sector for 3 years. Its crew of 800 aliens felt completely safe in their powerful ship. They had shields that could stop any known weapon and engines fast enough to outrun any enemy. At least that was what they believed. "Weapons ready," reported Commander Amy Rogers from the tactical station. Her fingers moved across controls that had not existed 6 months ago. Human scientists had been very busy since the diplomatic failure. Kate looked at the chronometer on her wrist. In exactly 30 seconds, the Shard of Glory would move into the perfect position. The aliens followed their patrol route with mechanical precision, never varying their course or timing. It was a habit that would kill them. "All ships report ready," came the voice of Captain Scott Miller from the destroyer UES Shadow. His ship floated invisible in the darkness along with 5 others. The entire human fleet waited like predators around a waterhole. Kate watched the seconds count down. The Zephyrians had taught humanity many lessons during their raids on human colonies. They had shown humans that mercy was a weakness that got innocent people killed. They had demonstrated that in space only the strong survived. Now it was time for humans to show how well they had learned these lessons. "Execute," Kate said softly. The attack began and ended in 47 seconds. Human ships appeared from nowhere around the Zephyrian cruiser like ghosts materializing from shadow. New weapons tore through alien shields as if they were made of paper. Quantum torpedoes collapsed entire sections of the crystalline hull before the crew could even understand what was happening. The Zephyrians tried to fight back, but their weapons could not lock onto targets they could not see. Human ships flickered in and out of normal space using technology that should not have existed. When alien sensors finally detected the attackers, the weapons fired at empty space where the humans had been moments before. A desperate distress signal went out from the dying cruiser, but no one heard it. Human ships had been jamming all communications in the area for hours. By the time the interference cleared, there was nothing left of the Shard of Glory except expanding clouds of glittering debris. "Clean sweep," reported Scott Miller as he watched the last pieces of alien ship drift away into space. "No escape pods, no survivors, no witnesses. Kate studied the wreckage through her ship's cameras. The attack had been perfect in every way. More importantly, it would look like the work of Velth raiders to anyone who investigated. Human intelligence had learned to be very creative with evidence. Tag the debris with Velth energy signatures and plant some of their weapon fragments, Kate ordered. Make sure any investigation points to our snake friends. Across human space, similar scenes played out in dozens of star systems. The aliens had spent years teaching humans about warfare through their brutal raids. Now humans were applying those lessons with frightening efficiency. Colonel Nick Torres crouched in the shadows of a cloud-borne refueling station, watching his soldiers move like ghosts through the facility. The new adaptive armor made them nearly invisible to alien sensors, while their weapons could punch through any known material. His people had trained for months to perfect these tactics. The attack on the fuel depot lasted exactly 1 hour. When it was over, the station was nothing but expanding gas and twisted metal. The few aliens who tried to escape died before they could reach their ships. No one lived to report what had really happened. Another pirate attack, Nick reported to headquarters as his team prepared to leave. Looks like Zephyrian raiders hit a cloud-borne facility. Such a shame when allies turn on each other. On the other side of the galaxy, Major Linda Gray led her commandos through a Velth supply convoy. They moved between the cargo ships like deadly shadows, planting explosives and gathering intelligence. Every piece of evidence they left behind pointed to Zephyrian involvement. The convoy died in a series of bright explosions that could be seen from 3 star systems away. Velth investigators would find Zephyrian weapon fragments and energy signatures scattered through the wreckage. They would never suspect that humans had been involved. Back on Earth, Dr. Helen Brooks monitored all these operations from a hidden command center buried deep underground. Banks of screens showed human forces striking across dozens of star systems at the same time. The coordination was perfect, and the results exceeded all expectations. Phase 1 proceeding as planned, she reported to the Joint Chiefs of Staff. The aliens still have no idea we are behind the attacks. They are starting to blame each other just as we predicted they would. General Paul Carter reviewed the casualty reports with satisfaction. Human losses were almost zero, while alien casualties climbed into the thousands. The new ships and weapons were proving their worth in blood. Our people? He asked. 17 dead across all operations, Helen replied. The new technology is working better than we dared hope. Our stealth systems are completely invisible to alien sensors, and our weapons cut through their defenses like they are made of cloth. The aliens had made a critical mistake when they mocked humanity's warning. They had assumed that humans were too weak and primitive to pose any real threat. They had not considered what might happen if humans decided to stop playing by civilized rules. Human scientists had spent decades studying alien technology captured during raids on human colonies. Every weakness had been identified and cataloged. Every tactical doctrine had been analyzed and countered. When the time came to fight back, humans were ready. The age of human mercy was ending. In its place came something far more dangerous: human efficiency applied to the art of war. The aliens had taught humans that only strength mattered in space. Soon they would learn just how strong humans could be when they stopped holding back. The truth hit the Galactic Council chamber like a meteor strike. Ambassador Crix of the Zephyrians stared at the intelligence report in his 4 hands, while his compound eyes tried to process what he was reading. Around the vast chamber, similar expressions of shock and growing fear appeared on alien faces as the scope of human retaliation became impossible to ignore. For months, the council members had assumed they were witnessing a breakdown in galactic peace. Zephyrian ships had been attacking Velth convoys. Cloud-borne stations were being destroyed by what looked like Zephyrian raiders. Velth forces had retaliated against Zephyrian outposts. The 3 major powers were tearing each other apart in an escalating war that seemed to have no clear beginning. This cannot be accurate, hissed Velth Prime Speaker Scython as her serpentine body coiled around her floating platform. Humans are barely capable of interstellar flight. They could never coordinate attacks across 17 sectors at the same time. Captain Jerry Walsh of Human Intelligence stood in the center of the chamber wearing a simple black uniform with no decorations. Gone were the diplomatic niceties and polite requests. His face showed the cold expression of a predator who had finally decided to reveal himself to his prey. 237 military installations destroyed, Jerry stated in a voice that carried clearly through the massive space. 412 supply ships reported missing and presumed destroyed. 78 colonies evacuated due to what you called pirate attacks. He paused and looked directly at each alien delegate. Did you really think we would warn you and then do nothing when you laughed at us? The holographic displays around Jerry showed the devastating effectiveness of the human campaign. Battle sites scattered across known space, each one labeled with dates and casualty figures. The pattern was clear to anyone willing to see it. What had looked like random violence between alien species was actually a carefully coordinated human operation. The Cloudborn representative flickered through rapid color, changes that their translator identified as extreme distress. The systematic nature of these attacks suggests years of planning. You have been preparing for war while pretending to seek peace. Decades, corrected Dr. Sam Johnson, who now held the title of Secretary of Xenological Affairs. His gray hair and lined face spoke of years spent studying alien cultures and finding their weaknesses. We have been watching and learning and preparing since first contact. Every raid on our colonies taught us something new about your tactics. Every diplomatic insult showed us how you really viewed humanity. Admiral Kate Sullivan stepped forward with the bearing of someone who had commanded fleets in actual combat. The holographic display changed to show real-time positions of human ships throughout known space. Red dots marked human fleet positions while blue dots showed alien military assets. The humans outnumbered their enemies 3-1 in most sectors. We have ships stationed near every one of your core worlds, Kate announced without emotion. Our intelligence networks have people inside your governments, your military commands, and your civilian populations. We know your patrol schedules, your supply routes, and your emergency procedures better than you do. The implications sent shockwaves through the assembled aliens. If humans could coordinate such devastating attacks without being detected for months, what else were they capable of? How long had human agents been working inside alien society? How many of their own people might be human collaborators? Crix found his voice first, though it came out as barely more than a whisper. What do you want from us? The same thing we wanted 6 months ago when you laughed at our diplomats, replied Commander Dan Foster, who wore the insignia of the Colonial Defense Forces. Stay out of our space. Stop attacking our people. Recognize human sovereignty over the systems we have claimed as our own. And if we agree to these terms? Asked Scythen, though her tone suggested she already suspected the answer would not be what she wanted to hear. Kate's smile was as cold as the space between stars. Then maybe the hunting stops. The word maybe hung in the chamber air like a death sentence. Every alien present understood that humans were no longer interested in making promises they might not keep. The species that had once begged for peaceful coexistence had been transformed into something far more dangerous. You cannot be serious about continuing this violence, protested the Cloudborn representative. We are civilized species with laws and treaties and codes of conduct that govern warfare. So were we, interrupted Jerry Walsh. Right up until you decided those laws did not apply when dealing with humans. You taught us that in space might makes right. Congratulations on being such excellent teachers. Dr. Johnson activated another display that showed casualty figures from the past 6 months. The numbers were staggering and made even worse by how one-sided they were. For every human killed during the opening phases of the conflict, more than 1,000 aliens had died. This is genocide, whispered Crix as his mandibles clicked together in a pattern that indicated extreme fear. No, replied Kate firmly. Genocide is what you attempted to do to our colonies when you thought we were too weak to fight back. This is pest control. The chamber fell completely silent except for the hum of life support systems and the occasional nervous clicking from various alien species. The delegates who had once filled this space with mocking laughter now sat in stunned quiet as they tried to process their new reality. Finally, Scythen managed to speak again. What are your specific terms for ending this conflict? Kate exchanged glances with her human colleagues. They had prepared for this moment during months of planning, but seeing the once arrogant aliens reduced to begging was more satisfying than any of them had expected it to be. Complete withdrawal from all human claim systems within 72 hours, Kate stated. Full reparations for every destroyed colony and murdered civilian. Formal recognition of humanity as a sovereign galactic power with territorial rights equal to any other species. And the hunting will stop? Asked Crix with desperate hope in his translated voice. Kate's expression did not change at all. That depends entirely on how well you follow the terms and how long you remember the lessons we have taught you. The aliens were learning a hard truth about humans that they should have discovered months ago. Humans were very good at holding grudges and even better at planning revenge. The species that had once offered friendship and trade agreements had been transformed into something that would hunt their enemies across the galaxy without mercy or hesitation. The age of alien dominance was ending. The age of human justice had begun. The alien evacuation of human space began immediately, but it was not fast enough for everyone. Commander Rick Stone watched through his ship's sensors as Zephyrian transport vessels fled the Kepler system, with their holds packed full of colonists and whatever supplies they could carry. His stealth frigate UES Reaper followed them from a safe distance like a shark tracking wounded prey. Admiral Sullivan's orders were very clear, reported Lieutenant Michelle Green from her communication station. Any alien vessel that fails to clear human space within the 72-hour deadline becomes a legitimate military target. Rick checked the mission chronometer display on his command screen. The red numbers showed exactly how much time remained before the deadline expired. They have 6 hours left to reach the border. Think the last transport will make it? Chief Navigator Tony Clark studied the fleeing alien ships through his instruments. The trailing vessel is pushing its engines beyond safe limits. They are barely staying ahead of a complete power failure. Good, Rick thought, but did not say the words out loud. Let them run in terror and remember this fear for the rest of their lives. Similar scenes were playing out across dozens of star systems as alien species scrambled to meet humanity's ultimatum. The speed of their retreat spoke clearly about how thoroughly the humans had shattered their confidence. Species that had once moved through space like they owned it now fled like frightened animals. On Earth, President Nancy White sat in the Oval Office reviewing situation reports with her military advisors. The room had been transformed into a command center with wall displays, showing human fleet positions and alien movement patterns throughout the galaxy. The Vyelth are withdrawing faster than our most optimistic projections suggested, reported General Chris Davis while pointing to sectors on the main display. Their entire Fourth Fleet abandoned 3 star systems ahead of schedule. What about Zephyrian compliance? Asked the President. Admiral Sullivan appeared via secure hologram transmission from her flagship somewhere in deep space. They are following the withdrawal order, but with obvious reluctance. Our intelligence sources report that their military leadership is divided. Some want to negotiate for better terms while others are pushing for a preemptive strike against Earth itself. President White leaned back in her chair and considered this information. And the Cloudborn response? They have been the most cooperative so far, admitted Dr. Johnson from his position near the intelligence displays. Complete withdrawal from all disputed systems, plus they have offered to serve as neutral intermediaries for future peace negotiations. The President nodded with grim satisfaction. The Cloudborn had always been the most reasonable of their alien neighbors, which made their participation in the original mockery all the more disappointing to human leadership. Captain Laura Smith, now heading the newly created Department of Alien Relations, pulled up intelligence reports from monitoring stations across the galaxy. We are observing interesting secondary effects from our campaign. Several minor species that participated in raids against our colonies are voluntarily turning over individuals they consider war criminals. They seem desperate to avoid being added to our target list. It was remarkable how quickly the entire galactic political landscape had changed. 6 months earlier, humans had been considered a minor irritation at the edge of civilized space. Now entire alien battle fleets change course rather than risk encountering a human patrol vessel. Current operational status? Asked President White. General Davis consulted his electronic tablet before responding. 93% of alien military forces have successfully withdrawn from claimed human territory. The remaining 7% appear to be either moving too slowly to meet the deadline or are preparing defensive positions. Defensive positions? Admiral Sullivan's hologram leaned forward with obvious interest. Where exactly? The Arcturus system, Davis replied while highlighting the location on the main display. A combined Zephyrian and Velth fleet has established fortified positions around the gas giant's major moons. Intelligence analysis suggests they intend to make some kind of stand there. The room fell silent as everyone present understood the implications. Some aliens apparently had not learned their lesson yet and were preparing to test human resolve one final time. President White's expression hardened as she considered the situation. "Admiral Sullivan, you have full authorization to proceed with Operation Clean Sweep." "Understood, Madam President," came the reply from the hologram. "We will make this lesson very clear to anyone watching." As the briefing concluded, Captain Smith remained behind to discuss additional concerns with the President. "We are receiving reports that some alien species are already beginning to adapt their military doctrines based on what they have observed of human capabilities." "Explain," said President White. "They are copying our stealth technologies and hit-and-run tactics. Some are even attempting to reverse engineer captured human weapons from battle sites." Smith paused before continuing. "However, they lack the industrial base and scientific knowledge to replicate our most advanced systems." The President considered this development. It was inevitable that their enemies would try to learn from human innovations, but the technological gap was too large to bridge quickly. Meanwhile, in the Arcturus system, Zephyrian Fleet Commander Vex and Velth War Leader Gorthak coordinated their defensive preparations. The combined alien force included over 200 warships arranged around fortified orbital platforms. Minefields stretched between the gas giants' moons, while sensor networks provided early warning coverage. "The humans cannot possibly assault a position this strong," Vex declared to his staff officers. "They rely on surprise and stealth tactics. Against prepared defenses, they will be forced to fight conventionally." Gorthak's serpentine form coiled around his command platform as he studied tactical displays. "Their ships are individually superior, but we have numerical advantage and defensive positions. If we can inflict heavy casualties on their first attack, other species might find courage to resist." Both commanders believed they understood human capabilities based on previous encounters. They had analyzed battle reports and identified what they thought were weaknesses in human tactics. Most importantly, they were convinced that humans would follow traditional rules of warfare when facing a prepared enemy. They were about to learn how wrong they were about human nature. The species that had once sought peaceful coexistence was about to demonstrate what happened when patience finally ran out. The final lesson was about to begin. The Battle of Arcturus lasted 4 hours and 17 minutes. The aliens never stood a chance against what humanity had become. Admiral Kate Sullivan stood on the bridge of the UES Vengeance as her fleet approached the alien stronghold around the gas giant Arcturus Prime. The enemy had constructed what they believed was an unbreakable fortress with orbital weapons platforms, extensive minefields, and over 200 warships arranged in defensive formations that had worked against conventional enemies for centuries. The aliens had prepared for the kind of battle they understood. Humans no longer fought that way. "Ghost Squadron reports all units in position," came the voice of Captain Mike Rogers from the stealth carrier UES Phantom. His ship and 11 others like it had been moving through the Arcturus system for weeks, completely invisible to alien detection systems while they prepared for this moment. "Hammer Squadron standing by," confirmed Captain Jennifer Adams from the battlecruiser UES Devastator. The heavy attack vessels had jumped into the system at maximum sensor range with all weapons visible and engines blazing. They wanted the aliens to see them coming and focus their attention in the wrong direction. Kate studied the tactical display with the cold satisfaction of a predator that had cornered its prey. The alien commanders had made every possible mistake in their defensive planning. They had concentrated their forces in predictable patterns, chosen static defensive positions, and most critically, they had assumed humans would follow the same rules of warfare that governed conflicts between civilized species. "Execute Operation Thunderbolt," Kate commanded. The attack began with something impossible. The massive minefields that protected the approaches to Arcturus Prime simply vanished from existence. Human ships equipped with experimental quantum phase devices had spent weeks seeding the area with equipment that could temporarily shift matter out of normal space and time. Thousands of mines flickered out of reality for exactly 90 seconds, which was more than enough time for the human fleet to pass through unharmed. Before the aliens could process this violation of known physics, Ghost Squadron struck from within their own defensive perimeter. Stealth ships materialized like vengeful spirits among the orbital platforms with their weapons already locked onto priority targets. The main command station died first in an explosion bright enough to be seen from the outer planets. "Commander," Bob Taylor led the Marine Assault Force as drop pods, sliced through alien defenses like bullets through wet paper. The new powered armor systems made his soldiers nearly invulnerable to conventional weapons, while their own armaments could penetrate any known alien material. Each Marine fought with the efficiency of a machine and the ruthlessness of someone who had seen what aliens did to human prisoners. Command Platform Delta secured, Bob reported as his troops finished eliminating the Velth garrison. No alien survivors as ordered, Admiral. The space battle was equally one-sided. Human warships had been designed from the beginning, based on decades of studying alien technology and combat doctrine. Every weakness had been identified and ruthlessly exploited. Every strength had been countered with superior human innovation. Captain Andy Wilson commanded the destroyer UES Predator as it tore through formations of Zephyrian fighter craft like a wolf among sheep. The aliens' energy weapons were impressive against conventional defenses, but humans had developed armor that absorbed and redirected energy attacks back at their sources. "This feels almost unfair," muttered Lieutenant Karen Pierce from her position at the weapons control station as another wave of alien fighters disintegrated under her fire. "Fair is what we offered them 6 months ago," Wilson replied without taking his eyes off the battle display. "This is justice." By the end of the first hour, organized alien resistance had completely collapsed. Ships that could still move fled toward the system's outer boundaries, while those too damaged to escape were systematically hunted down and destroyed. The humans showed no mercy, took no prisoners, and left no witnesses to carry tales of defeat back to their homeworlds. The final act began when the surviving alien commanders realized their position was hopeless and attempted to surrender. Admiral Sullivan received their transmission on the main communications screen, where Zephyrian Fleet Commander Vex and Velth War Leader Gorthak appeared together, their alien features twisted with desperation and the bitter taste of absolute defeat. "Human Admiral," Vex began, his translated voice distorted by damage to his ship's systems, "we formally request terms of surrender under the established laws of civilized warfare. Our remaining forces will withdraw immediately from this system and all claimed human territory." "Surrender request denied," Sullivan replied in a voice as cold as the vacuum between stars. Gorthak's serpentine form writhed in distress as he spoke. "But surely the laws that govern warfare between civilized species must apply here. We acknowledge your superior strength and submit to your authority. You forfeited any claim to civilized treatment when you raided our colonies and murdered our civilians," Sullivan stated flatly. "When you ignored our diplomatic warnings. When you mocked our attempts at peaceful coexistence." She paused to let her words sink into their alien minds. "You taught us that in space only raw strength matters. Today you learn exactly how strong humans can be when we stop holding back our true nature." The transmission ended without another word. Within minutes, the last alien vessels were reduced to expanding clouds of radioactive debris that would serve as a permanent monument to the folly of underestimating human resolve. Captain Steve Brown monitored communications from the intelligence vessel UES. Listener as news of the battle spread across the galaxy at light speed. "Admiral, we are intercepting transmissions across 17 sectors. Word of what happened here is spreading faster than we anticipated." "Excellent," Sullivan replied. "Send a message on all alien communication frequencies. Make sure every species in the galaxy receives it clearly." The message was simple and direct. "This is what happens to any species that threatens humanity. We warned you once. We will not warn you again." As the human fleet departed Arcturus, leaving behind nothing but wreckage and radiation, the balance of galactic power had shifted permanently. The species that had once dismissed humans as primitive mammals now spoke the human name in whispered fear. Children on 1,000 alien worlds would grow up hearing stories about the day the humans stopped being patient. Military academies would study the Battle of Arcturus as an example of what happened when superior technology met absolute determination. The aliens had mocked the warning. They had learned too late that humans were not a species that gave second chances or forgot past injuries. In the depths of space, human fleets continued their eternal patrols, silent and deadly, ensuring that the lesson of Arcturus would never be forgotten by anyone foolish enough to threaten human space again.